Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this episode 3788 AN. Today's date is December 3rd, 2025, and the title of the episode is Trump Names a New Fed Chair. Gold, Bitcoin will begin to come into the picture. Let's talk about precious metals. Silver isn't just a historic store of value anymore. It's breaking records, hitting new all-time highs as global demand accelerates. That surge led me to Nevada. Most people hear the name and picture Las Vegas, Reno, bright lights, casinos. But long before the neon glow, Nevada earned a very different title, the Silver State, a place where some of the world's most important silver discoveries were made. Because Nevada wasn't built on entertainment, it was built on silver. And today that legacy is coming back into focus in a big way. AmeriCorps Resources, trading under AMCOF in the U.S. and AMCO in Canada, is positioning itself right at the center of Nevada's modern silver resurgence. This company focused on high-potential silver exploration in the jurisdiction that has produced more wealth-creating minerals discoveries than anywhere else in the American West. They've recently acquired the Trinity Silver Project in Nevada from Newmont Corporation. As part of the deal, Newmont became a shareholder in AmeriCorps, a clear signal of the Trinity Project's immense value. When a global mining giant valued at nearly $100 billion takes notice, it's a strong indicator that you should too. This isn't a brand new exploration play with uncertain potential. It's a historic mine that has already produced over 5 million ounces of silver, with historic data indicating a potential resource of over 28 million ounces still in the ground. Why Nevada? Because investors know the rule. If you want to find new silver, go where silver has already made history. Nevada's geology, infrastructure, permitting framework, and discovery track record make it one of the safest, most productive, and most mining-friendly jurisdictions in the world. It's why the biggest names in the sector continue expanding here and why AmeriCorps is laser-focused on this ground. And here's what makes the story even more compelling. AmeriCorps Resource currently trades at under 25 cents, a steep discount compared to established silver names like Discovery Silver or Dolly Varden Silver, both of which command significantly higher valuations after their projects advanced. AmeriCorps offers investors that rare early-stage positioning, exposure to Nevada discovery potential before the market re-rates it, at a time when silver is surging and investor interest is skyrocketing. Because the story here is simple. A focused silver explorer drilling in America's most prolific silver jurisdiction at a time when global demand for ethically sourced, Western-aligned silver has never been stronger. Nevada built its identity on silver. AmeriCorps is stepping into to explore the next chapter of that story. Silver is hitting new all-time highs, and investors searching for high-impact exploration stories are looking straight toward the Silver State. That's where AmeriCorps Resources is positioning itself, trading under AMCOF in the U.S. and AMCO in Canada. AmeriCorps isn't just exploring, it's near production, with just under 800,000 ounces of silver already in stockpile. AmeriCorps isn't just exploring, it's positioning the potential future production with just under 800,000 ounces of silver already sitting in stockpile. Run the math. At $50 an ounce, that's $40 million in contained silver. Even after processing, the value could still come in around $16 million, roughly 3 times the company's current market cap based on the stockpile alone. Thanks to AmeriCorps Resources for making today's video possible. I'll drop links to their website, investor presentation, and stock symbols in the description below. Go to AmeriCorpsResources.com and remember the ticker symbols, AMCOF, and in Canada, AMCO, or just click the link in the description. Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, the private West Central Bank, the World Economic Forum, it seems they're going to have a major problem because Trump is prepared and ready to replace Jerome Powell. And he's already named Kevin Hassett as the next Fed chair. But again, he does have to be approved by the Senate. And once again, we know how that works. Now, Kevin Hassett might be the first guy that he's choosing, and he might think that maybe he won't get through, and he might have another person that might come up behind him. But if Kevin Hassett does get through, we can see that Kevin Hassett is all for gold and Bitcoin. And I do believe what's going to happen is that gold and Bitcoin is going to be coming into the picture. And I do believe what Trump and team and what they're preparing to do is to actually set the Fed up to be restructured into the Treasury. I think with Scott Bessent and Kevin Hassett, or whoever else Trump brings in there, I do believe their mission is to restructure the entire system and remove the Federal Reserve once and for all. And this is why Trump and the Patriots are creating the parallel economic system. This is why he's creating the tariff system. This is why we're going through this transition right now. Remember, this is not business as usual. Hey, let's keep the Fed there. Let's play with the rates. Let's keep borrowing the currency, because that doesn't solve anything. It doesn't help the economy. It doesn't really do anything for the economy, just makes it worse as time goes on. So I do believe what Trump is doing right now, he's putting all the pieces together right now to make sure that we can move away from the system that has been enslaving us for a very long time. And I do believe in the end, that is what we're going to see. Now, we're going to see the deep state players. They're going to be pushing, and I'm talking about the central bank too, they'll be pushing their agenda all over the country, all over the world, because again, they don't want this to end. They don't want to lose the control. Because remember, once the central bank loses control, they have no control over the people. They have no control over the countries. And once that happens, they're finished. So they're going to be pushing their agenda, like the Green New Scam. They're going to be pushing universal basic income. They're going to be pushing all of this across in different states and in different countries. Because you have to remember, there are still a lot of blue states that are following the agenda of the central bank system. There's a lot of countries that are following the agenda of the central bank system, like the Green New Scam and universal basic income. And they're going to continue to do this because that's what they're instructed to do. For example, if you look at Cook County in Illinois, they have launched a universal basic income program where low-income households are guaranteed monthly payments, no strings attached, all paid for by taxpayers who work. So basically what we're seeing is they're pushing exactly what they wanted during COVID. And when you look at welfare, when you look at SNAP, and when you look at all this, this is all basically the same thing. Remember, there was a study that was done out in the UK showing that those people that were receiving benefits that weren't working, it made them lazier and lazier and lazier, and they didn't want to work. That's what the central bank has been trying to do for this entire time. They've been trying to make the American people and the people across the world very, very lazy. And they wanted them dependent on the central bank. Think about it. If everyone was dependent on the central bank, would they have complete and utter control? Absolutely. You don't do what we're saying, you don't get your money. You don't get your food. You get nothing. So you better shut up. You better do what we're saying. And that's what they really want in the end. Because if you really look at their system, when we talk about the Great Reset, their system is total control, the central bank digital currency. The banks no longer control your account. It's actually the central bank that would control your account. And when you look at SNAP and you look at welfare and you look, that's what that was all about. Awaken Outlaw put this out and said, the new 20-hour week requirement for able-bodied 18 to 64-year-olds to receive SNAP EBT is going to go thermonuclear when those who have become accustomed to doing nothing in exchange for their benefits have to comply. Recipients will have to now provide pay stubs, volunteer logs, program letters, etc. weekly, or be limited to 3 months of SNAP benefits in a 3-year period. You see, the deep state players, the central bankers, they never wanted that to happen. They just wanted to give it out. They just wanted everyone to become lazy. There have been people on SNAP for like 10 years or even longer than that. And now they have to be held accountable. You have to be looking for a job. You're just not going to get these things because everything is about to change. And this is what the deep state, the central bankers do not want to happen. But it doesn't matter what they want. Because Trump, he's on a mission. He's on a mission to remove everything the central bankers have put into place. He's on a mission to reverse what they've done to this country since 1913. Actually, it went full-blown, fiat in 1971. But all of this is going to be reversed, and the people are going to get control of the economy, and it's going to return to the people. And the people are going to be productive. The people are going to have their buying power. It's going to be very, very different. But through this process, what we're going through is we're going through a transition. Remember, you can't snap your fingers and say, hey, let's go to the new system. I mean, the central bankers did this in 1971 when we came off the gold standard. We went into a deep recession. There was no oil. Other countries, they had rolling blackouts like the UK. It was a complete and utter disaster. So Trump, he's trying to mitigate all this. He doesn't want people to lose their wealth. And he wants to transition everything into the new system in a way where people... Now, as we wrap up 2025, it's a good time to slow down and reflect on the year. If there's one thing we've all learned is that uncertainty isn't temporary. It's the world we live in now. Waiting for things to go back to normal isn't a plan, it's a gamble. For over a decade, my friends at Noble Gold Investments have helped Americans protect themselves and the people they love by diversifying their wealth with gold and silver. Look, no one knows what 2026 will bring, but one thing's for sure. In an uncertain world, real wealth isn't digital. It's physical, it's lasting, and it's yours. So when you're sitting around the table this holiday season, season, surrounded by family. Remember, the best gift you can give isn't under the tree, it's peace of mind. And that's what Noble Gold delivers. Peace of mind, 1 ounce at a time. Before the year ends, take one smart step toward a safer future. Visit X22Gold.com and get your free wealth protection kit today. That's X22Gold.com. Don't leave your future to chance, or just click the link in the description. And remember, past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult your financial advisor before making investment decisions. They still have everything that they work for. And I think that's very, very important. So, yes, are we going to see fluctuations in the market? Are we going to see fluctuations in jobs? Are we going to see fluctuation in manufacturing? Of course, because Trump is just setting everything up right now. And once everything is set up, that's when you're going to start to notice the difference. And he's almost complete with the first phase of all of this because he put all the pieces together. He got the investments from all these different corporations where manufacturers are going to be coming back to this country. He's made an incredible amount of tariff deals, which means there's going to be more investment into this country. And the tariff system, the oil system, the technology system, the gold card system is completely and utterly up and running, and it's getting stronger, bigger, stronger, bigger as time goes on. So, yes, are we going to see fluctuations? Absolutely. And I do believe that Trump, when he came into office, he was bringing this country out of a deep recession. Remember, think about what Biden/Obama has done during that period of time. They manipulated the job numbers. They were all fake. They had high inflation. Fuel prices were very high. And there were really no jobs in this country. So how is that a strong economy? It doesn't even make sense. So when Trump acquired this from Biden/Obama, this is why Biden said, hey, I'm handing off a strong economy, because they thought the economy was going to crash under Trump. They never expected him to build the parallel economic system as quickly as he did and to counter everything that they tried to do. You see, as the economy started to fall apart, Trump was building the economy and bringing in currency into this country, bringing in investment into this country, which actually saved the country from going into a deep recession, into a depression. And they never expected that to happen. So everything that Biden/Obama have done during the period when they were in there for 4 years, they destroyed the economic system. Trump had to rebuild it, and he's done an incredible job in the last 10 months. The next year is going to be absolutely amazing because he already has things in place right now. And when you look at U.S. industrial production, it sees its biggest annual gain in 3 years. So right now, yes, things are changing, things are getting better, and on a year-to-year basis, production rose by 1.62%. It's best since November of 2022. This tells you everything you need to know. And yes, you're going to see U.S. manufacturing output, capacity, everything's going to start to grow. Everything's about to change in 2026. And you know what else is very, very interesting? Is that the SEC is now cracking down on highly levered ETFs amid the recent surge in market volatility. Kobisi letter on X put this out and said, the SEC just issued multiple warning letters to ETF providers, effectively blocking the introduction of 3 times, 5 times levered ETFs. We write to express concern regarding the registration of ETFs that seek to provide more than 200% leverage exposure to underlying indices or securities. Now, I do believe in the end, as time goes on, this is also going to apply to the ETFs that have been used to bring down Bitcoin. And I do believe this is just the beginning of all this, because you have to remember the deep state, the central bankers, they use the paper markets to bring down gold, silver. They use the paper markets to bring down cryptocurrency. This is their strategy to bring all this down. Now, gold and silver, they want to go up. Bitcoin wants to go up. Why? Because basically it's a hedge against the fiat currency, especially gold and silver. And the central bankers, they have to keep gold and silver way, way down so no one understands and nobody realizes how bad the fiat currency is. I mean, just with cryptocurrency, I think people see it as plain as day that fiat currency is worth pretty much absolutely nothing. It's lost all its value, something like 98%. And it gets worse and worse every single day. And you can see Trump and team, they're preparing and getting everything ready for 2026, because this is when Trump is going to be replacing Powell. He's going to be bringing in Kevin Hassett. And I do believe that Kevin Hassett, or whoever else it's going to be, maybe this is just a head fake, saying, oh, I want Kevin Hassett, knowing that the Senate will not choose Kevin Hassett, and then he brings in the person that he really wants. But maybe Kevin Hassett is the person. No matter which way we look at it, whoever he brings in, they're going to do what he wants them to do. And that is to restructure the Federal Reserve, bring it into the Treasury, and basically allow the tariff system to take control of the entire economic system. And I do believe that's what Kevin Hassett is prepared to do, or whoever else is going to be coming in. But if you look at Kevin Hassett right now, you could see that Hassett has highlighted the Fed's origins under the gold standard in 1913. So he said the following: when the Federal Reserve was created, we were under the gold standard, and the idea that the Fed could print money and then spend $2.5 billion on a building, I think that we've got a real problem of oversight and excess spending. And think about what he just said there, that when the Fed was created, we were under the gold standard, which means the Federal Reserve couldn't just print currency out of thin air. They had to abide by how much gold we actually had. So basically, the paper currency was a rain check for the amount of gold that the United States government held. And if you wanted to turn in your pieces of paper for silver, if you wanted to turn in your pieces of paper for gold, you were able to do this. If you go back in time and you look at a lot of your US dollars, you can see that they might say silver certificate on them. And what's very interesting is that Kevin Hassett, he is all for going back to sound money. And Judy Shelton, author of Good as Gold, praised Hassett in July 2025 for referencing the gold standard, noting it as a reminder that the Fed has a lot to answer for in deviating from the era of stability. Hassett also views Bitcoin as digital gold for its scarcity and hedge qualities, echoing sound money without physical backing. So that is very, very interesting. So I do believe Trump and the Patriots, they're now putting the final piece into place where Kevin Hassett is going to be pushing the Fed in a completely and utterly different direction. And the other thing that's very interesting, since Trump now is choosing Kevin Hassett, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said he would push a new requirement that the Federal Reserve regional bank presidents live in their districts for at least 3 years before taking office, a move that could give the White House more power over the Federal Reserve, which means the White House might have the power to veto Federal Reserve presidents. Isn't that interesting? So I do believe moving forward, we're going to see a lot change. I do believe that Trump and the Patriots, they're planning on the entire country going back to sound money, because once again, if we do not restructure the Federal Reserve, if we do not remove the Federal Reserve Act, if we do not remove the ability for the Federal Reserve to exist, well, we're going to have the same problem once again, because down the line, what's going to happen? The same creatures, I don't know if everyone read The Creature from Jekyll Isle. That is how the Federal Reserve got started in 1913. That's where they met. There's an island off of Georgia called Jekyll Isle, and that's where they met. That's where they came up with their plan. Remember, this is the third central bank system in this country. We got rid of the first two. I do believe Trump and the Patriots, they're getting rid of the third one in this country. And once this is gone, we're going to see this country grow by leaps and bounds like we've never seen before. And the buying power is going to return to the people. And you can see every step of the way, Trump and the Patriots, they're making sure that we have everything set to go. You see, you just can't come into office and say, okay, let's just change the entire economic system. Let's just remove ourselves from the Federal Reserve. Let's just shut it down. Because again, you need a way to fund the government. You need a way to make sure that the people don't lose their wealth. You need a way to transition everything. Now, of course, the deep state, the central bankers, they don't care. They'll just transition you. They don't care if the economy goes into recession. They don't care if it goes into depression. They don't care if you lose all your wealth. Trump is looking at this in a different way. He wants to build upon America. He wants to make sure that our children and our children's children, they have wealth. They want to make sure that each and every person that worked hard their entire lives do not lose their life savings. He wants to make sure that those people who are looking to purchase a house and those people that don't even want a house, He wants to make sure that you have the ability to get a house, which is an asset that you should hold. Yes, there's also the question of property taxes, which hopefully we will get rid of all property taxes, because once again, do you really own the asset if you're continually paying taxes on that asset? And if you don't pay the taxes, they could take that asset away from you. I think this is something the founding fathers fought against. During the Revolutionary War. This is why they decided, something, we're not going along with the British government anymore. We want our freedom. We don't want to be taxed up the wazoo. And I think we're in our second revolution right now, economic revolution and freedom revolution. And I do believe we're doing the exact same thing once again, because think about it. With the central bank in place, look how many taxes there are. There's taxes on everything. They have us exactly where they had us back then. It's actually even worse now. And this is what we've been fighting against this entire time. And I do believe Trump and the Patriots, what they're about to do is they're about to change the entire economic system. When people start to see their buying power come back, and you don't have to pay off the debt to get a lot of your buying power back. All you got to do is remove your income tax, because once again, if your income tax is removed, all of a sudden, the $5,000, the $10,000, the $15,000, the $20,000, or even more, that income tax, you get to keep that. So that's your money. You don't have to give it away anymore, which means your buying power has returned. And think about it. If you get rid of property tax on your home, all of a sudden, you don't have the property tax. Your buying power returns. And when you start paying off, when Trump, I should say, paying off the debt, and the power of the currency comes back, and then we go on to the gold standard, well, everything then changes. And I do believe this is exactly where we're headed, and Trump now is putting everything into place. And during this period of time, what we're going to see is we're going to see gold, silver, Bitcoin. We're going to start to see them really start to make moves. I think 2026 is going to be an incredible year. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see gold during that period of time. This is my personal opinion, of course. Anywhere between $8,000 and $10,000 an ounce. I know people are like, that's absolutely crazy. It's never going to get there. Well, I remember going all the way back to 2012, 2013, 2014, when gold was around, $1,100, $1,200 back then. And I was talking about, hey, can you imagine if gold was ever 4,000? People would start to wake up and realize the fiat currency was worth absolutely nothing. Well, here we are today. And I do believe as quickly as Trump is moving right now, because remember, I do believe he's going to be revaluing gold. I do believe the gold that is valued right now at $42 an ounce is going to be revalued. But you got to wait until gold continually moves up, because at the right time, at the right moment, you say, you know something, let's revalue the gold. Let's see how much we have. And you spring this on the Federal Reserve, and their entire system all of a sudden collapses, because all of a sudden you have $10,000, $15,000 an ounce gold, and you have a lot of gold. Actually, in the end, gold will destroy the Fed. So I do believe we're moving in that direction, and I do believe most likely we will see that. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.